pixels by 1080 pixels at a resolution of 7:2. We'll hit create, and then we're going to add in our first assets. File, place, embedded. I've already downloaded this seagull picture, so I'm going to go ahead and hit place. I'm going to resize it. I grab it from the corner and I press the option key, and that will allow me to expand it from the middle outward like so. Now for this particular project, I'm going to position the seagull in the middle of the document like so. I'm actually going to come down here like so. Now notice that now I have this background over here that doesn't have this sky. So I'm going to show you a little bit, a little trick that we can do with our selection technique. I'm going to create a rectangle just of this area right here. With this layer selected, I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste. So now I've pasted that same image, those same pixels right above it. But if I take my Move tool with Show Transform Controls and I hold the Shift key, I'm going to stretch this up. And since this is sort of a hard to tell what's going on, it works pretty seamlessly. If I turn off my transform controls, you can't really tell that that's there. All right, so now that I have my two layers right here, I'm going to go back to my seagull, and I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to select both of these layers by holding Shift and clicking on both of them, and I'm going to choose to. What am I going to do here? I'm going to merge these two layers, and so those two layers become one. I'm going to rename this seagull. And now I'm going to press Command J to duplicate it. All right, so Command J, it's going to allow me to preserve the original one below. And I'm going to take my patch tool. All right, so my patch tool right here can be found by right-clicking on the spot healing brush tool. The J is the keyboard shortcut to get to the tool group. And I'll make this selection like so. I'm going to drag it into an area that looks like the way that I want it to be. Now the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm next going to bring in my great white shark picture that I have also downloaded. I'm going to place it right here. I'm going to resize this so that it is approximately the same size and shape of the seagull right here, because we're going to try to blend these together. So a little bit of a tilt right here. One thing that you can do is make it semi-transparent so that you can actually line it up, and you want the shark to sort of be the same size and shape as the seagull, which right about here is where we want to be. I'm going to set my opacity back to 100%, and I'm going to commit that change. Now I'm going to use my object selection tool right here, and I'm going to select the great white shark. You're going to see that Photoshop did a pretty good job of finding the shark. However, I'm not going to want that edge down here at the bottom or the stuff at the top, but I can add my mask, and now I can use my paintbrush right here with black and white to adjust the mask. So I'm going to take a black brush, and I'm going to start cleaning this thing up, and I'm going to do as good of a job as I possibly can in order to blend it. Now, I do have this blue line on the edge right here, so we can try to double click right here on the mask, go into our refine edge tool, go to on white in this instance, and grab my refine edge brush right here, just sort of paint around it and see how Photoshop does. It looks like it is enhancing it overall. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this technique. So I'm going to come around and clean this up on this edge over here, and then continue to go. Right here it's getting a little bit fuzzy, so I might have to come back in later and clean that up. And so right there, I'm actually going to undo that because I don't like that. So I'm pretty good. I feel pretty good about how it looks on the top. I'm going to hit OK. Then on the mask, I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to make it larger with a softer edge. All right, so remember the brackets, and Shift bracket allows you to do that. I'm going to adjust the size right here to about 250, and the hardness to about 0%. All right, so it puts me in this ballpark here. Now what I can do is I can softly erase the bottom part of the shark to blend in with the shape of the seagull right here. So that's kind of what we're going for, is this sort of smooth transition into the seagull right here. Now you might have to come and then sort of re-clean things up over in this area here and go back and forth a couple of times in order to get it just right. And I'm feeling pretty good about how this looks at this point. However, I still have this blue that's coming in that I don't really like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on this layer, go to my filter, camera raw filter. And on the camera raw filter, I'm going to go to my color mixer, and I'm going to go to saturation, and I'm going to take my blues and I'm going to pull it all the way to the left. So let's look at the color of the reds and the yellows in the shark here, but it'll pull out the blue and I'll hit OK. So that makes it transition a little bit more seamlessly. I can then take another minute to just sort of position the shark, and right about here it's looking pretty good, and I get my great white gull. My last step is going to do Command Option Shift E to create a brand new layer, convert that into a smart object. I'm going to go to Filter. I'm going to go to Camera Raw Filter again, and here I'm just going to play around with my color settings a little bit. I feel like in basic right here, if I add a little bit of texture and a little bit of clarity, that looks pretty good. Then going to go to my favorite part over here, which is effects. I'm going to add a little bit of grain. So this is a lot of grain, just a little bit of grain to add that sort of global texture, but a little vignetting across it, so it'll make it feel a little bit more coherent. All right, and so now I have created my great white gull.